Welcome to the Smack Talk, the SmackDown after WrestleMania. And in case you're tuning in for the first time and you're wondering, what's all that shit in the background? Is it raining in your room? No, it's not raining in my room. It's the soothing sounds of nature. It's a lot better than all that bullshit music that some people play, or just dead silence. Anyhow, this is relaxing for me. That's why I have it, and I feel like it's got to be a part of my intro. So, link down below as always if you want to go through this and kind of relive some of the highlights. Again, I'm assuming if you are watching this that you've already seen the show. Brawling Brutes defeating Imperium. It was nice. I liked it. Like I said, I do enjoy both groups. And Ludwig Kaiser, whatever. As I've said before, find him very impressive. And I also like the fact that he was in there with like Ridge Holland and the big guys. And the reason I say that is because remember what I said in the beginning, that even though I've been watching wrestling for over 4 decades, there have been periods in my life where I've kind of had to sort of skip through, some of the matches, watch the promos, and read the results kind of like this really quick without any context, and sometimes going, hey, wait a second. And it just dawned on me a little while ago, actually a long while ago, but I'm just saying, remember 205 Live? That's the kind of place that, no offense, Ludwig would have been at. And and they actually even had their own division, right? From what I remember back in the day with Neville. Remember Neville? He was the lightweight, cruiserweight, whatever it was called. My point is, man, am I ever glad they got rid of that shit. I don't know whose idea it was to get rid of it, but I'm glad they got rid of it because I truly feel like these guys can just really hold their own. Just because you're bigger doesn't mean you're a better fighter, right? And I get it, UFC, boxing, right, the whole weight thing. I get it, but this is WWE. It's scripted. It's okay to just have everybody in there. Anyways, I just wanted to say that I really do appreciate that. So that was a nice little match. Don't have much to say for this. I would have liked to have seen a bit more from Ivar. Looked like he was going for a couple of moves that got foiled thanks to Ricochet. So it backfired for Ivar. I have a feeling he could have done a little bit more, which would have been really impressive. I always like seeing the bigger guys that, don't look like they could do much. Go to the top rope, jump on the rope, spin around, do something that requires a lot of agility, right? Big Van Vader comes to mind. Big Show, really, especially in the early days. I like seeing stuff like that. Don't ever, just look at someone and be like, well, he's not in the best shape, because with all due respect to one of my favorite wrestlers, Kevin Owens, holy macaroni and cheese with the bacon bits, right? Like, he's the full meal right there. I mean, he can do it all. And he doesn't exactly have the physique, if you will, of someone like Ricochet, but he can still haul ass. So anyways, this, like I said, sometimes I don't really have too much to say. So I just kind of, This was good. I do believe now they're going to be facing Liv and Raquel Rodriguez, the the women's tag team champions. That'll be nice to see, and I am glad they won, although I do like Natalia. I mean, in a perfect world, okay, I would have rather seen Natalia and Raquel as the tag team, but, whatever. It is what it is. I'm not a part of creative. I'd like to think I'd do a better job than Vince, which we'll talk about briefly in a moment, because there's really not much left to say. Triple H revealed that there's going to be a draft. Well, we all know what can happen at those drafts. I mean, announcers have been split. Teams, factions, whatever you want to call them, have been split. I know I use the word a lot, but this is one of the things that I'm highly anticipating to see a shake-up there. Something going to happen to the bloodline, anything. The Judgment Day, just whatever. I forget when he said it's going to take place, but soon, I believe. Judgment Day celebrated Rhea Ripley's WrestleMania win, as they should. It was one of the best matches of the whole frickin' card for both nights. So, awesome. Then the Judgment Day defeated Latino World Order as the story goes on between Dom and Ray. And as, I forget his name now. Dutch Mantel, I watch him on YouTube. He's a lot of fun to listen to. And I agree with him, you know, what he said about the whole Dom and Ray thing and just stories in general, you know, how you can't rush them. And I'm guilty of this. A lot of times we want a story rushed. It's like, oh, what's taking so long? But that's what is more exciting in the end, is that build up. Sometimes it can drag on a little bit too long. Or maybe it was the right amount of time to drag it on for. So then was it ever really dragged on to begin with? And then when it comes to an end, you're like, right? The climax is huge. Just like the whole Sami Zayn thing, breaking away from the bloodline. Right now they're the tag champions. It was like, it makes it more satisfying, right? Than if everything's just quick over in a couple of weeks or even a couple of months. So that's that. Again, like I said, just the continuation of that, which is nice. Now, before I get into Jey Uso defeating Sami Zayn with the help of Solo Sikoa, yeah, Matt Riddle came to save Zayn near the end. Now, this, I mean, I get it, but I didn't like the chair thing that they were going to do, because I still wanted to think that there's like a mutual respect, obviously scripted, I get that, a mutual scripted respect between Jey and Sami Zayn to, well, you saw it when Jey stopped Solo from giving him the thumb. He's like, no, don't do. You had enough. Because during the interview here, at the top, where is it? Well, yeah, KO got taken out by Sami Zayn. That whole, no, I hate when it does that. The whole thing with Paul Heyman talking to Solo, saying, take care of the problem if Jey doesn't end up delivering. Right? And then the way Solo Sikoa looked at Jey during that interview looked like he wanted to stick his thumb in his Adam's apple as well. I just think that that's sort of where it's going to end in the end. Is Jey, main event Jey, breaking away from the bloodline? Jimmy wasn't around. Then we thought he was going to save him and then just walk out. But no, that didn't happen, did it? He kicked him in the face, then went to get the chair. So it was like, So it's that part that, you know what I mean? Like it added. But then again, look what Sami Zayn did to Kevin Owens at Elimination Chambers. So, you know, you get amped up, and the whole thing with him feeling like he's got no other choice to do what he's got to do. I still have hope. Again, I'm trying to rush the story. And I think there's still a lot of fuel left in the tank before this thing runs dry. So I'm okay with that. It's just that whole chair thing. Should have just left it at that. It would have given us a little bit more hope or belief that where things are going are where we want them to go. Yeah, and that's why I'm not a part of creative. But whatever. Now, talking about Vince, which I've already done, you know, that whole deal with Endeavor, blah, 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 UFC and WWE merging. And then on Twitter, it was trending the whole, you know, fire Vince McMahon. And I said a couple of comments, and a bunch of people got their panties in a knot, or a bunch, or whatever the expression is. I don't remember. Never really understood that anyways. Why do they have to be panties? Listen, Vincent Kennedy McMahon is like, I don't even know the word. Maybe there isn't a proper word to describe him in a positive way here. Just overall, as, you know, an entity that is Vincent Kennedy McMahon and what he's done for the WWF at the time, and then WWE, Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, the whole 80s thing, all these amazing storylines and just wow that Vince was behind, right? And we praised him for that. It's kind of like, I'm not going to get too political here, just bear with me for a second. I saved that for my other channel. But it's like former New York mayor, is it Rudy Giuliani? I mean, back in the early 2000s, it's like everybody loved that guy. It didn't matter if you were a Republican or a Democrat. You loved him, at least so it seemed like. Now, it's become very political in that it's very like one-sided. Most people, on the one side don't like him, and then on the other side they like him. Except with Vince, I think it's a bit worse, where there's not really anybody that's left that likes him. And it's not that I dislike him. I just don't want him to be a part of creative. So that's what sparked that whole fire Vince McMahon, right? A lot of people are saying he's not what's best for business. And I forget the guy's name now off the top of my head, the owner of Endeavor. That's the company that owns the UFC, leaving Vincent Kennedy McMahon in charge of creative. But as the guy said, and as I've quoted it, he said he's not going to be a part of it on a small scale through the weeds, just on the bigger side of things. Now, what does that mean? Well, fuck, I don't know. I'm not a wrestling expert. I can't read McMahon's mind. I would like to think what it means is the day-to-day things like title changes and all that. He's not going to get involved in that once the companies merge. That was the thing that I said on Twitter, and everybody was like, yeah, but look at what happened at last Monday Night Raw. The morale in the locker room was low. It was reported that Vincent McMahon was behind, like the show's results and all that, and everybody was just going hog wild, and I was just kind of being a bit neutral in like, look, I get it. He said things that we don't agree with, or, he's lied in the past. Let's just see how it plays out. I mean, fucking guy is 77, okay? Speaking of gas in the tank, he's running on fumes, okay? And that's not being rude. It's a fact of life. I mean, it's going to come to a point, at least I think. For all I know, this guy might outlive me. Who knows? I would like to believe that things on the bigger side of creative that he's going to be a part of may be things like, and I'm just throwing this out there, this isn't like a rumor, I'm just giving you an example. Let's say Zack Ryder, aka Matt Cardona, wanted to come back to WWE. Maybe Vince McMahon would still have a say with something like that. Or if somebody like Chris Jericho, wanted to leave AEW and come back to WWE, or someone controversial like CM Punk, people that may not have left on good terms, which I don't even think Chris Jericho left on good terms. Maybe that's what McMahon means by, behind the scenes, the big things. But in the weeds, as he put it, I'm not too sure what the weeds are. Is Roman Reigns' reign ending at 1,000 days, or at 2,000 days, or at 500 days? Is that considered in the weeds, or is that something big? I don't know. I wish he would have clarified a little bit more. I wish the interviewer would have asked him to elaborate a bit more on what he means by that. So yeah, it's really one of those things where we don't have a choice but to wait and see how it plays out. And all we're able to do is kind of speculate. But yeah, I get why people are saying fire Vince McMahon. They're saying, great, he's done all these things, but he's lost his edge, his touch, whatever it is you want to call it. He's just not the same as he was before. And that was the whole thing with the Rudy Giuliani thing that I was saying. Yeah, he's like, you look at what Vince has done in the last several years, and then you look at what he's done way, way before that, and you're like, is this the same person? You know what I mean? Like, what happened there? Was there like a brain transplant? It's a different person? I think he should just have no say in creative. I don't know about firing him per se. That was the main selling point too for the owner of Endeavor, is he wanted to keep McMahon on board. We should be blaming him, because Vince was ready to walk away from the whole thing, but he's like, you know what? He wants me to stick around, have a little bit to do with what's going on. I'm actually more curious to find out, never mind Vince there or not, just how the whole WWE as a whole, period, is just going to be once it merges with the UFC. Is it just going to be a financial business change together? Or are there going to be some things that are going to be completely different as a result? I don't know. I don't know if anybody is able to take a logical guess as to what this means going forward. I don't know. I'm just excited to see this whole thing unfold. I have my worries, but either way, I'm going to be sticking with it anyways. I still watch a little bit of AEW. Shh, apparently that's taboo for some people. I watch all promotions a little bit here and there, and I just enjoy wrestling. I don't care what the three letters are. If it's AEW, if it's WWE, if it's old school WWF, is it ECW, is it WCW? I don't care. Really, I don't. I mean, yes, I have a bit of a favorite, but... So that's that. Let me know down below if you've made it this far into the video as to what you think this may mean moving forward with the company, the whole UFC merging. Do you have concerns from that aspect alone, irregardless of the whole Vince thing? And do you think Vince should really just be officially booted, fired, done? But realistically, even if we did want that, can that even really happen? Probably don't think so. Let me know what you think either way. As always, if you liked the video, a thumbs up. It does really help support the channel with the algorithm. And if you didn't like it, go ahead, give it a thumbs down. And I'll make sure when you wake up in the middle of the night, Ricochet, Star Moon Splash, I forget the name. That's why I could never be a commentator. Oh, and there's Ricochet with the 5-star splash, the moon back reverse. Holy shit. I'm not always good with the names of the moves and stuff like that. Anyhow, you can go ahead and do that. And if you want to subscribe, I mean, naturally, that would be great. But if not, thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care. And maybe, if I'm lucky, I'll see some of you in the next one. Bye for now.